According to one young leader, the status of the girl child will define the status of the African continent.
Wow, wow. I needed that. I needed that because my country is so small, you'll be lucky to see it as a dot on a map. So thank you, Rutgers. A country with a population of just 90,000 people, I'm not even kidding. We are not even close to Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, or South Africa. And I'm from the smallest country to form part of Africa. And it is none other than the Seychelles Islands. But my story today, guys, is also your story. My story today is around the African girl child, the men and women leaders in this room, and my girls back in Seychelles who exemplify the challenge of access to quality education. Let me share some numbers with you real quick. 65 million. The number of girls today who are not in school globally. Let me bring it closer to home. 30 million. The number of girls today who are not in school in sub-Saharan Africa alone. And now let's zoom in to countries like South Sudan, where girls like Pani walk 4 unsafe hours to and from school every day. To Malawi, where Loveness got married at 13, became a mother at 14, and no longer goes to school. To my Seychelles, where Sylvia fell prey to drugs at 15 and dropped out of school pregnant. And let us never forget Nigeria, where Mariamo was one of over 200 schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram because they believed girls were unworthy of an education. From my dot of a country to mainland Africa, our struggle is the same. Our cry is the same. Girls being denied their right to an education, thereby being denied their right to a life free from exploitation, free from child labor, and free from poverty. And I look to the leaders in this room. I look to you. I look to you. I look to you. What can we do about this? Because Mandela called education the most powerful weapon we have to change the world. And on this belief, my consulting company, Ecosol, engages with schoolgirls out in the Seychelles. We volunteer our time and our resources to help these girls, my girls, realize their dreams, realize the greatness that is already within them, and realize that education is not just the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. And this is our fight. This will be Ecosol's legacy. And if this is what is being done for girls on my dot of a country, I look to the leaders in this room. I look to you, and I look to you. What are we going to do about this? How can we amplify this effect across Africa? Because simply put, an educated girl becomes an empowered woman, one more likely to achieve greater income, to increase economic productivity, to marry late, and to raise fewer and healthier children. So let me share some hope with you real quick. 90%, the percentage earnings an educated girl will reinvest into her family. 64%, the decrease in child marriages if girls in sub-Saharan Africa receive an education. And 25%, the potential extra income a girl will earn if she spends just 1 extra year in school. I ask the leaders in this room, I look to you, and I look to you. How can we further improve these odds? Ladies and gentlemen, to quote a fellow from Zimbabwe, for as long as we remain divided, we remain a continent conquered. To the strong men and the strong women in this room, to the fathers and the brothers, the mothers and the sisters, we need each other to walk hand in hand and unite around changing this story, because we cannot lift our nations up by standing on just one leg. So let's solve this problem together. So let's solve this problem together, one girl at a time. Step up to the front lines and help rewrite this narrative. Get your companies involved in a girls' education project. Agree with me on this. We did not go through Yali, stay the same, yes? Okay. And this is how we will move Africa forward. This is how we will rise. Because in the words of Desmond Tutu, if we succeed in empowering our girls, we will succeed in everything else.
One answer for it, or the answer for it, but what I know is that there is still a lot of discrimination amongst...
Here, leaders say that individual choice drives unity and growth, or division and failure.
At the end of the day, it's an individual thing. You are the one who chooses to see something better, something great in someone else, and you treat them with dignity, you treat them the same way you treat someone who's the same color as you, same race as you, same religion as you. So we really need to develop a culture of tolerance. And I think the only way we can do that is to start to teach our kids that they need to be tolerant.
So for a long period of time, it was generally agreed that in spite life started in Africa, the ancient African humanoids moved to different places and evolved differently based on where they settled. More recently, however, scientists have demonstrated that not only life evolved to human beings in Africa more than 200,000 years ago, but they only moved quite recently. This is just a small example of how misunderstood our story is, which gets us to think that perhaps we are not telling the right story. I'm Teach Munyaket, and I'm a passion for problem solver. I come from a place very beautiful, as many of the countries we have in Africa. And just as I had to answer a lot of friends, yes, we have buildings, there's roads, there's bridges, there's even airports, if you believe it. So by the age 26, as an engineer, I was a top executive of a multinational firm, which gave me exposure to the world and helped me realize how misunderstood our story was. All there was war, civil unrest, famine, and poverty, which is like one of my sisters at Yali likes to say, until the lions learn to tell the story, the hunting tales will be told only by the hunters. So the opportunity to rewrite this story came a few years ago out of nothing but laziness. I needed to buy groceries on a Saturday morning, except home, what that meant for like many people is crowded supermarkets or unsafe street markets.